you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to invite you to just take a moment to settle into your seat as I offer a spiritual night treatment. So let's just take a breath and know the truth that this is a world of spirit, a world of good. And each one of us is an individualization of spirit, because spirit is all there is. Knowing this, understanding this, then with full faith, I make this declaration on behalf of each and every one of us, that this is a day for rejoicing. This is a day for celebrating the truth, that there is good for us, that we ought to have it, and that we can have it. Celebrating the truth that each of us is on a beautiful spiritual journey of growing and expanding our understanding of this thing called life. And I know that this morning is a moment in which we can just relax, be together in fellowship, and allow our minds to be fully focused on life, love, joy, and fellowship. So I now release and let go on behalf of each and every person of all of the worries and cares. And I just invite you to allow them to metaphorically drop to the floor. And feel yourself as free in this very moment, free to experience life in this moment, in the here and now, as being good, as being friendly towards each of us. And know that there is a warm and beautiful light filling this room and flowing out into the world. I know there is good, and I claim it for each and every one of us right here, right now. And turning this treatment over to Spirit, I invite you to close with me by saying, and so it is. Thank you.
Reveal the love inside of me. Reveal the love that I was meant to be. Every time I open my in me.
Well, thank you. Jennifer Hart, our musician today. So great to have Jennifer with us again. And I'm glad you had some good weather driving down. It's from quite a drive, and we really appreciate having you with us. So,
Thank you.
good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to be here together. Today I'm Reverend Kate, and it's my pleasure to welcome everyone to the Center for Spiritual Living Carlsbad, where we believe that there is a power for good in the universe and that we can use it, and where we do come together to teach, demonstrate, and inspire a positive spiritual approach to living. So as we're beginning, I would like to invite Nikki up to help with our candle lighting. So when we light these candles, we're just using them to symbolize and to remind ourselves of the underlying spirit of life and the unity of all. So first we light a candle for life. Life is everywhere present, flowing through each and every one of us. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. Please say with me, I am life. We light a candle for love. The birth of love happens within each one of us every time we make room for the Christ consciousness in our hearts and in our lives. We are transformed. I am a point of love within the heart of God. Please say with me, I am love. We light a candle for light. The light of God is the presence and the power. We are always walking in the light. I radiate the light of God wherever I am. Please say with me, I am light. We light a candle for beauty. We are made in the likeness and image of God. We are each whole, complete, and beautiful just as we are. I accept the beauty of God's perfection as my perfection now. Please say with me, I am beauty. We light a candle for joy. Joy is the very nature of spirit and the true essence of each of us. We celebrate the joy of our own rebirth in the God consciousness. I bring joy to the world. Please say with me, I am joy. We light the candle for peace. Today and every day we open our hearts to peace. I am a center of peace in the world. Please say with me, I am peace. And finally, I'd like to invite you to take a moment to recognize your own inner light that is always shining within as we honor our own metaphysical path of wholeness, oneness, and mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. Thank you. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, everyone. Well, if this is your first center visit, I'd like to welcome you. And if it's your 100th visit, I'd like to welcome you too. Everyone is welcome. If you're not receiving our Thursday or maybe Friday morning email, please let us know, or you can sign up again. And of course, everyone can stay and join us for fellowship after the service. So spiritual mind treatment is our gift to you every Sunday. So if you have a prayer request today, you can either speak to me or Reverend Maurene, Practitioner Larry, Practitioner Robert, raise your hand. You can speak to any of us after the service, or you can also fill out a treatment request form and put it in the box in the lobby on the table. And please remember that it's fine to keep putting in the same request until you see the result that you desire. So there are announcements inside your program, and I just want to highlight that next week is Palm Sunday, so Reverend Maurene is going to be speaking on immortality. So that will be a perfect matchup. And then on Easter, Reverend Dr. Lori is going to give a talk called One Solitary Life, and she's just returned from the Holy Land, so she's got a treat for us. We thought it would be great to do that on Easter. And then the third Sunday in April is our potluck Sunday, so something else to look forward to. Now, the other announcement, which is the most important announcement of all, is let's all say thank you to our volunteers. So today we have Ruth Ann as our greeter. So we have these amazing flowers by Morgan. So thank you, Morgan. I love it. And I also want to just recognize, we have treats from Linda.
Hey, Nancy.
Yeah. Nancy, from Nancy, yeah. I was thinking Nancy and saying Linda. I don't know. And of course, I want to recognize practitioner Larry for doing our recording. You know, he does it every week, but still, we really appreciate it. And I also want to thank Jan and Angel for all that they do to get us set up and organized. Get the coffee ready. And I want to also announce the volunteer sign-up sheet is in the lobby. So if you'd like to pitch in, or you can talk to Reverend Maurene. So now, if you will, turn into your program and find the group reading inside. Let's read that together. God is all, both visible and invisible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect love and perfect abundance. I am an individualized expression of God. I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect abundance. So please stand. We'll turn it over to Jennifer.
Okay,
Lead us in a group song.
I'm told that you know some of the old standards of this. So there's a wonderful song written many years ago in '87 by Jerry Florence, and it's called "We Are One." You all know that?
Yes.
Yes, good. We are one. We are one. I am you, you are me. We are one. And in that unity, we all live in harmony and peaceful love. 'Cause we are one. And we sing it again. We are one. We are one. I am you, you are me. We are one. And in that unity, we can live in harmony and peaceful love. 'Cause we are one. And peace will come and peace will come. 'Cause we are one. Peace will come and peace will come. 'Cause we are one.
Very nice. And now I'd like to invite Robert up to give today's reading. It's pretty good. Let's get it somewhere near you too.
All right. Everybody hear me?
Yeah.
So if you looked at the weekly bulletin, you'll know that Reverend Maureen speaking today on the Big Bang. So it seemed appropriate that we would have a quote from Ernest, or a reading from Ernest Holmes on creation, since that's what the Big Bang is. So this is from The Science of Mind, pages 66 and 67. Creation means the giving of form to the substance of mind or spirit. Spirit being all and only, there is nothing for it to change into but itself. Therefore, it is the changeless, within which must take place all changes of or manifestation of itself. The infinite of itself is formless, but within it are contained all the forms which give expression to its consciousness. Spirit is limitless, within which is all space. Spirit is timeless, within which is all time. Creation and experience are eternally going on, but any particular experience is measured by time and has a beginning and an end. In the beginning of any creative series, there is an absolute intelligence alone, pure spirit, all-inclusive, everywhere, infinite. This all-spirit could not have the impulse to move unless it were conscious. Therefore, spirit is the power that knows itself. The account of creation, which says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, does not refer to a time when there was no creation, but rather to the process of an eternal creation, which is a continual manifestation of spirit. An eternal creation is proved by the fact that we must suppose spirit to be conscious intelligence, and there can be no conscious intelligence unless it is conscious of something. Therefore, it must always create. What a glorious concept is such an idea of an eternal creative principle. There is no stagnation in spirit, nor should there be any in our idea of spirituality. To be spiritual is to create. Let me say that again. To be spiritual is to create. The spirit is alive, conscious, aware, and active. And so it is.
So it is.
Sorry.
No, it's great. It's great. It's adjustable. It's adjustable. Oh. Let me turn it over to Jennifer for her song. Now that I've got the microphone adjusted.
One power, one power, one power. There's one power invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth. It's as simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angel's wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, It's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power. We speak so many languages, different clothing, different colors, different names. But different is only dangerous when we forget that in our hearts we're all the same. We'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem, or Heaven's Door. It's Mohammed, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth, or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power, one power, one power, one power. It's the moment of creation, it's the everlasting peace, it's the freedom of forgiveness, it's the sweetness of release, it's the joy of inspiration, it's the sunshine on your face, it's the birthright of all nations, it's the boundlessness of space, it's the beauty of a baby, the serenity of sleep, it's the anger we abandon, for it's love that's so deep. It's one power. It's the power of love in you and me.
Beautiful, thank you, Jennifer. Now, it's my pleasure to bring up Reverend Maurene, who is going to do the instructional part of the day. So please give her a warm welcome.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Jennifer. I met the group that created that song.
And your name on it?
Wonderful, yes.
Yes.
Well, today I'm going to be talking about the Big Bang. Did you know it was not an explosion? I don't know how it got its name, the Big Bang. It was what's called a singularity and expansion. They call it inflation in science. So, good morning. It's great to see everyone today. And little hoarse today, dry weather. But, so today I'm going to talk about this singularity that science calls it. But I'm going to talk about this story of creation from three different viewpoints. I'm going to talk from the Judeo-Christian Bible. Big Bang is understood by scientists, the creationist intelligent design, and religious science, which I believe religious science is pretty much identical to science, except that we use different phraseology. So I wanted to review a little bit. A week and a half ago I talked about quantum physics, and I want to review that a little bit too, because quantum physics is the physics of consciousness. And it says you have to have an observer in order to create a particle. And I told most of you about that experiment, or the double slit experiment. Like if you particles or light waves can be two things. They can be waves or particles, sometimes at the same time. Pretty amazing. But when they're observed, they go to be a particle. So this collapsing of particle is the basis of quantum physics, I think, for us to understand. So, a little quote from Deepak Chopra. We all know Deepak. He said, "The source of all creation is pure consciousness, pure potentiality, seeking expression from the unmanifest to the manifest." And when we realize that our true self is one of pure potentiality. So you're in the driver's seat. You can change these waves, pure potentiality, to particles, which are the building blocks of atoms and molecules, and that's how you create your life. But before I go into Big Bang, I'd like to explain what happened before the Big Bang, but unfortunately there's no time. You know why you can't trust atoms? Because they make up everything.
Very good.
So, two carbon atoms walk into not a bar. They walk into a center for spiritual living. And, the first one says, "I think I lost an electron." And the second one says, "Are you sure?" And the first one says, "I'm positive." Yeah, you get it, positive. Okay. So, we heard the reading today from Robert, and Ernest Holmes says that spirit makes everything out of itself through some inner act upon itself. He says, this inner act must, of course, be an act of consciousness, of self-perception, of self-knowingness. This has been called the Word of God and the self-contemplation of God. The Word of God spoken within itself sets the law in motion. The result is creation. The Word is the mold, which acting through law produces form. There are many words, many forms. We believe in an absolute intelligence. This is just one name: absolute intelligence, absolute consciousness, spirit, mind, many names. So the creation story, most religions have a creation story. In Islam, the Quran describes how Allah created Adam from mud molded into the shape of a man. I saw that laugh. Okay. From mud. And thus, human beings have a fundamental attachment to the earth. Interesting. Buddhism assumes that the universe has no ultimate beginning to it, so sees no need for a creator God. In the Judeo-Christian religion, there are many Bibles out there, and they have slightly different verses, but the one I was raised on was King James, because my father was Lutheran. So I'll just quote from that, Genesis 1, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty, and darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said," see, God spoke, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good. God said, God said, God said, God said, God created the rest of it, supposedly in 7 days. But God goes on to speak the word into existence, all these forms of the universe. And it was interesting, a friend of mine is Jewish and studies the Kabbalah, and apparently in the Kabbalah, it is said in Judaism that the whole universe came out of a vibration. One sound of the Hebrew alphabet created this vibration, which again is speaking the word, a word. the New Testament, we see creation from another view, John 1, verse 1, which says, in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. The Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. Little cryptic there. So, back to quantum physics. Quantum physics, again, is about consciousness. It states that individual consciousness affects everything. The expectations of scientists have affected the outcomes of their experiments. There's no such thing as a passive observer. We each affect material structures around us and within our bodies. So quantum science now asserts that matter emerges out of a quantum field that is characterized as energy and information. So the leading edge of science has moved into agreement that reality is non-physical. So some call this, again, spirit, creative mind, indwelling beloved, truth, light. So the ongoingness of life is implied in quantum physics. You all know the E equals mc squared, Einstein's theory, which is energy and mass are interchangeable. You can't destroy energy. You can only change its form. So we know that all form emerges out of an unformed and limitless consciousness. So there's something that's always is and cannot be obliterated. I think I also mentioned briefly entanglement. That's when two particles are together at one point. Maybe they were together at the Big Bang, or they were together in the laboratory. They're separated. And what happens? You turn one of them, the other one turns instantaneously. And it's kind of like, how can they do that? You know? Well, Einstein said that was, he called it spooky action at a distance. And he tried to disprove it for 30 years, and he couldn't disprove it. So that's saying there's an electron that's 15 million miles away, and these two were entangled. When you change one, the other one changes automatically. You know, I have my own belief around that. My own belief, Ernest doesn't talk about entanglement. That was after his time. But my own belief is that we're all one. We all have this one consciousness in God, in spirit. And, you know, people say, well, I know when a loved one is in trouble. I know when somebody's going to call me on the phone. I know what's happening. It's a gut level. It's an intuition. And to me, that's where we're all one in consciousness. And thank you for that song, We're All One. It was perfect. And I also talked a little bit about quantum leap when I said, you know, I say I'm shining a laser of light on Robert. He's an electron. He gets excited. He disappears. He doesn't walk to the back of the room. The electrons don't do this little path. They disappear out of time and space. And they show up somewhere else. You know, when they're excited, they'll go to an outer orbit, calm down, and come back. So he comes back. He's over here again. Next time, I shine the light at him. He gets excited. He disappears. He's over here. And what happens is there's this Heisenberg uncertainty principle. You can't do the experiment and expect the same results. So that's showing us life can be unpredictable, especially on a very small scale. But we're composed of millions of electrons, billions of electrons. So, but we have free will. So we don't have to be predictable. So, Big Bang. According to the Big Bang theory of the universe, it began in Arizona. Our whole universe was in a hot, dense state. State, S-T-A-T-E, state. Get it, Larry? No, not really. But it's a physical theory that describes how the universe expanded. I mean, very, very rapidly. I mean, we're talking less than a second. We're talking, I think it's 10 to the minus 32nd of a second. The universe was this dense, hot material, and it blew up like a big balloon. It did not, there was no explosion. It just, all of a sudden, you have, like if you have a strand of DNA, all of a sudden it would stretch. I have that factor. It would stretch 62 trillion miles long. So it's hard to put your head around that. How could the universe stretch? And so it's not so much that planets are moving away from us, the universe is stretching. So it's kind of interesting. And also, I won't get into dark energy, dark matter. There's even antimatter. We won't get into that today, but things are evolving very quickly in the study of quantum physics and in the Big Bang. Because the Big Bang, there are a couple of theories. One is that the universe is expanding and moving away from each other, and one day it's going to cool off, and the laws of thermodynamics will apply, and everything will cool off and die and be sucked back together and create a new Big Bang. That's one theory. Another theory is, you know, those black holes that are out there in space and they're afraid of them. That too, they think everything around it is drawn into the black hole and it becomes very dense, and boom, it becomes its own Big Bang, another Big Bang. And the last one, which Norm's nephew mentioned to me, and I looked it up, is the theory that the whole universe is one big, it's sitting on bubbles. And what happens when these bubbles of other universes touch each other, they create another Big Bang. So we have lots of theories out there. It's why this is happening is because initially we had the Hubble telescope back in the 1992, and the Hubble took wonderful pictures. They had little problems with their optics that had to be repaired in space, but they were able to see ultraviolet, visible, and near-infrared regions of the electromagnetic spectrum. Now, because it was in orbit outside of our atmosphere, we could see much clearer, and then ground-based telescopes. But then recently, just in 2021, the James Webb Space Telescope was launched. And it has high resolution, high sensitivity instruments, and it allows us to look at objects that are very old, too old, distant or faint for the Hubble Space Telescope. Now, you may recall one of these pictures, they're so beautiful, some of these pictures that have come back, we put one of them in the newsletter. It was really amazing. But it's allowing us to look at the first galaxies that were formed just, within a minute of the Big Bang. And it allows us to look back in time and look at potentially habitable exoplanets. You may have seen that in the news a lot, exoplanets, because they can contain life. So, James Webb, they call them JWST telescope, infrared capabilities are expected to let us see back in time and help us understand creation. So, there are some other views of creation. There's a movement called creationism. Creationism is also known as intelligent design, and it holds the belief that the universe and living organisms originate from specific acts of divine creation, as in the biblical account, rather than natural processes since evolution. Intelligent design is not a real science, but it is presented as an evidence-based scientific theory about life's origin. And they say certain features of the universe and living things are best explained by an intelligent cause, kind of supernatural. But, quantum physics tells us we had to have an observer, okay? We know we have an observer to create. Religious science agrees. We have an observer, or we call it ultimate intelligence, consciousness. We don't have to deny or denigrate science or evolution. We can embrace them. So the creation story takes 7 days. Now, if the universe, that's based, 7 days is like an Earth rotation a day. Well, the universe, the Big Bang says almost 14 billion years. So I said, okay, maybe God takes, 1 day would be 2 billion years times 7, 14. So in the 1920s, the fundamentalist controversy in theology resulted in fundamentalist Christian opposition to teaching evolution. And as a result, evolution teaching was suspended in the US public schools until 1960. Some of us are old enough to remember that. So has anyone heard of Teilhard de Chardin? He was a French Jesuit priest, and he was also a paleontologist and a Darwinist, and he's famous in the Catholic Church because he tried to bring the church to a point of really understanding evolution from paleontology. He was also a mentor to, trying to think of her name, Jean, I'll think of it, sorry. Another famous New Thought person. Anyway, he said after almost 2 centuries of passionate struggle, neither science nor spirituality has succeeded in discrediting its adversary. On the contrary, it becomes obvious that neither can develop normally without the other. And the reason's simple. The same life animates both. Neither in its impetus nor its achievements can science go to the limits without becoming tinged with mysticism and charged with faith. So he is talking about the consistency of science and faith. And religious science, and Teilhard de Chardin wrote a book that's kind of fascinating. It's called The Phenomenon of Man. And he marries the two, science and evolution. In The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes says, science tells us that all form comes from one substance made manifest through vibration. That sounds like string theory, doesn't it? Where everything is vibrating string. Everything is based on the word. He says, but he didn't know about string theory when he wrote this in the 1920s. He says, this further helps us to see the relationship of the word to the formless and teaches us the indestructibility and eternality of energy and cosmic stuff. So just for your information, I want to let you know what they have discovered, that dark matter is 27% of the universe. Dark energy is 68%. And the energy that we deal with, this energy around us, it's only 5%, very small percent of the universe. But the discovery of dark energy and dark matter helped explain the theory of relativity, because it didn't work out mathematically, but it does now that we have discovered this other dark matter and dark energy which counteract gravity. Anybody here have a PET scan? A PET scan is kind of like an MRI. I had one a long time ago. They use radioactive isotopes, and to look at your body. Well, I didn't know this, but it's called PET, positron emissions topography, and it scans routinely using annihilation events, which means we have antimatter in our body, and this PET scan helps to use the radioactivity to scan your body. It's amazing. Ernest went on to say, the body is composed of matter. What is it? Science tells us matter is an aggregation of small particles arranged in some kind of form. Matter is in a continuous state of flow. Strange as it may seem, we don't have the same physical bodies that we had a few months ago. He says our bodies are like a river forever flowing. The indwelling spirit alone maintains the identity. And the same thing Robert read was, the universe is alive, it's conscious, it's awake, it's aware, it's love, it's life, it's law, it's order. And he ends it by saying, it is a cosmos. So I think we have a challenge. We have a challenge to really see the very large as well as the very small. And I saw online where the largest sun or star that they've discovered is 500 billion times bigger than our sun. Now, I don't know if you get your brain around that one either. 500 billion times bigger. And they had a picture. Here was this red, and here was a little tiny dot, the sun, and here's this whole wall of sun. It's amazing. God, there's no spot where God is not. God is in the heavens. God is in the electron, in the light. So I think our challenge is we have this power. Be careful how you use it. Be careful how you speak to yourself and others. You have the power of the word, and string theory, the vibration. So in closing, I just wanted to quote from one of my favorite authors, Ralph Waldo Emerson. He said, I behold with awe and delight many illustrations of the one universal mind. I see my being embedded in it as a plant in the earth, so I grow in God. I am a form of it. It is the soul of me. So, any questions?
You did a great job.
And if you want to know more about quantum physics, this is a great little book, The Theory of Everything, by a guy named Professor Don Lincoln. Great book. Thanks.
Thank you.
So, it's a time for another song.
That was something to digest, wasn't it? Is your background in physics or chemistry or something?
I took it at UCLA.
Okay, because I didn't know any of that.
What did you take at UCLA? What did you take?
I took physics and math and chemistry.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought it was a drug or something.
I see joy, I see peace, I see goodness surrounding me. I see love in every breath I breathe. I see God in everything. I see happiness, I see freedom. I see the beauty that lives in me. I see the perfection what life brings. I see God in everything. I feel joy, I feel peace, I feel goodness surrounding me. I feel love in every breath I breathe. I feel God in everything. I feel happiness, I feel freedom. I feel the beauty that lives in me. I feel perfection in what life brings. I feel God in everything. I know joy, I know peace, I know goodness surrounding me. I know love in every breath I breathe. I know God in everything. I know happiness, I know freedom, I know the beauty that lives in me. I know perfection in what life brings. I know God in everything. I know God in everything. I know God in everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, well, this is our time for conscious giving. And I just want to say thank you all. Thank you for giving to Carlsbad Center for Spiritual Living. And just take a deep breath with me and just know divine love flowing through us multiplies this life, this love in every cell of our body and in everyone we meet. This givingness goes forward and we receive with gratitude. So thank you all. And we like to sing, I am so blessed.
Yes. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Thank you again. So I'd like to do a closing treatment for today, and then we'll do our closing song and have fellowship. And I think I want to say thank you also for a couple more people that brought goodies, right? So just join with me in consciousness. It's all consciousness right here where we are. We are one with it. It is in us, around us, and through us. This power, the power of the universe, the power for good. Yes, and we ought to have it right now, right here. So I know for each of us, we are unlimited, and we look to the stars knowing we are all one, whether great or small. As Emerson said, it doesn't matter to the one that's created it all. It is all good, it is all God. Again, I give great gratitude for this life that unfolds in divine and perfect order. We are healed and whole, knowing our oneness with this power, with this consciousness, with this absolute intelligence. And it's okay to say God. So I turn it over. I let it go, knowing that it's all perfect. I release my word. I give gratitude again. I know together we say, and so it is. Thank you. So let's stand.
I don't know the song that you normally sing. So, can you want to sing a cappella?
Who's good at singing it? Who wants to lead this song?
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
Open your hearts, let your love go free. Out over the ocean,
right across the street. Let it flow like a river, let it fly like a dove, till your heart remembers you can't stop love. Once you get it started, watch what it does. It'll go full circle. You can't stop love.
All right.
Acapella.